One of my favorite tidbits from draft weekend was when Jalen Tolbert told us that he got a phone call from Dak Prescott. I'm just curious, and we gave you all a hard time on Friday night, and of course I'm not asking for like the list of guys that Dak called, but I am curious. Dak is such an asset to this franchise. He's the franchise quarterback. In this process, what is his role exactly? I mean, do you give Dak Prescott a list of guys you like and say, hey, we'd love you to do some work on this? Or is Dak more involved with that in the idea of like, hey, I like this receiver. Like, this is a guy that I'd love for y'all to focus on?
No, what we did was kind of gave Dak a couple guys just to look at and just so he knew what was in the draft. And I think it's important with him having the standing that he does within our organization and within our team is to kind of let him know how we do things and get his input on some things. And so I just felt in talking to him with his unique ability to communicate with everyone and to draw something from that was to use him in hey, give him a couple of receivers to talk to, get him on the phone and kind of get some feedback.
That was real deep what Will McClay just said, because it sounds little to hear that he gave Dak a couple of names. But when you look at it from a big picture and you look at it with the amount of candidates, so if I just scroll up and scroll back down and just look at it, if you look at the amount of candidates that was actually in the NFL draft, we talking about over 479 candidates, right? That was potential draftees in this process. And out of all of those guys, Jalen was one of the names given to Dak Prescott. So it's not a reach to call him an obvious pet cat to Will McClay and that draft board. And I'm going to go through the film. I'm going to go through everything. I'm going to really do my best to explain the uniqueness of Jalen Tolbert and in this process. So before we get into film, he also made the Boss Cowboy Guide, which is rare because I write this book for candidates that will likely fit the Dallas Cowboys. And I also made the exception of putting them in the book as a potential candidate because of his skill set, and we getting ready to get into the film. But before we do, this is what I said. I said Jalen Tolbert seems to be a very exceptional receiver. He has all the things you want to see in a receiver. Tolbert high points the ball with deceptive receiver body language and decent routes. We go show that with the film. The question would be the competition, and the Dallas Cowboys historically have not gambled on small school athletes. Now, remember, this is before the draft when I wrote that. And he has incredible production. He has good measurables. He has a lot of the things that you want to see in a candidate, especially when you look at him productive wise. So his final year, one of the things Will McClay said that he likes to see is candidates improving, right? So you can see every year he seemed to get better and better and better, which is an indication of the seriousness that he takes to the craft. Another reason why he was an exception in my book, and I also think he was an exception to Will McClay, because he doesn't really gamble on small school guys, is when you look at him, and we getting ready to get into the film. Stay with me to the end, because he's a unique draft. Okay, is you'll also see that his best games came against Division I opponents. Okay, so when you look at Southern Miss and you look at Tennessee, those are the games that he actually turned up the most. So if you try to take a gamble on a guy, you want to take a gamble on a guy that checks all the boxes of your typical Division I candidates. So the first thing we go take a look at is his blocking. And when I take a look at him as a blocker, I want to see, are you physical? Do you let guys have it? Are you really selling out to really try to give your running back a lane? And he does that. Now, this is the thing about it. He doesn't do it consistently, but I do like the fact that he was trying to give it to these Division I guys, and he wasn't backing down. That's what you want to see in a receiver, a guy that's go to the toughest opponents and continue to get them that sauce. But then obviously we not gonna pick a receiver for blocking, but I want to see, are you there to fight those Division I guys? And he was. Then let's take a look at him obviously as a weapon. So this is Division I opponents. This is not his conference. All right. This is Division I opponents. And one thing that you see is separation. That's 5 yards after he catch, and massive yak and game speed. He runs away from that corner, leaves him like 7 yards after the catch. Woo. Now these are Division I opponents. So one of the other things that I love about him is he also has great body control. He has gallopish body control. So you can't see it right there, but he did a slight push off and high pointed the ball in one motion. And he does that a lot. So this is going to be the better angle of it. And as you can see right there, he has the soft push off. It's not aggressive, so he won't get the flag. He has an elbow bend, so likely the ref won't even see it. So he gets the slight push off, and he goes up and get the ball. And he does it against the top opponents over and over. And then this is more where you can see his game speed in comparison to other Division I athletes. He runs away from guys with ease. So a lot of people look at his school and say, South Alabama. No, sir. Let's go look at how he actually performed against bigger opponents. He handled them. He looked like he was the man amongst people who's supposed to be the man. So this is a game where his first target was a drop. Okay. And so I want to see, how do you respond after you start the game on a drop? On his second target, he was like, you could tell he wanted to make up for it because he went ape crazy. All right, because he's going to make a one-handed catch while being held in stride as a second target. So we talking about a phenomenal football player, even against Division I opponents, getting held, but still makes a one-handed catch after a drop, and he continued to turn up more and more and more. And I like to see the strong hands versus aggressive press. So he's in press right here, and you go see the guy's very aggressive, holding and everything, still has the strong hands and gets good yards after the catch after being held. And so right here, you're going to see him what's called attacking the cushion. And what he's doing is he's selling and running hard like it's a fade with a perfect stop, which makes the corner slip. So that's the nuance of route running that you want to see in a receiver. And watch this. This is Division I opponents to where he's going to make a tough catch and turn it into massive yak. Massive. Tough catch, being held, and goes for 6 against another level of an opponent. So it's a lot to like about Tolbert. And stay with me to the end. Stay with me to the end, because I'm going to explain why it's what Will McClay did and that it was no accident. Because Jalen Tolbert has some potential to be very exceptional, right? So I want to go through Will McClay, and I want to talk about how they really looked at him in terms of grade. Here we go.
Obviously, you drafted the guy. What was Dak's feedback on Tolbert? I mean, did he get a read on him?
Yeah, he got a read on him. He was very excited about the way that he approached football, the way that he approached this process. Who's to say what's going to happen when he gets on the field with us, but you look for the preparation, the mindset going through this. It's a job interview with 32 teams, and Jalen came, he was well focused. He knew what he was all about. He knew what he was good at. He knew what he had to work on. And I think that feedback and conversation with the quarterback gives him, a little bit of leg up because they clicked at that point in that conversation.
Obviously, you draft.
So he say Dak and Jalen clicked. See, that's big. Remember, he gave Dak Prescott 2 people to call, 2 receivers. One of them was Jalen Tolbert. So this wasn't a guy where Will McClay, Stephen Jones, and Jerry was wiped out and they panicked. No, this is a guy that continued to ace every part of the test. So he was thinking, just like I was thinking in my book, they don't gamble on small school guys. So it makes sense to have Dak Prescott make that call to continue to look under the hood to make sure this guy is really what he appears to be. And I'm telling y'all, I'm thinking this is going to be a slam dunk. Coming in as a number 2, he's getting ready to wreck. That is my prediction. I think he's going to be very CeeDee Lamb-ish, even year 1 and year 2. Meaning coming in with less pressure, because now CeeDee Lamb is getting ready to get the pressure of being a number 1. But he's going to be going against number 2s, number 3s, nickelbacks, dime package guys. He go eat, and you can see it. You can see it from the film that he got what it take. He got it. Now, the interesting part was what Jerry said, and I'm not sure a lot of people caught this. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to talk about it.
You want to find out who makes the pick when you go through that. If you'd been a fly on the wall to see that, you don't know today, and I don't know who made those picks. When we got through it, it was that kind of participation, that kind of collaboration. Exactly, that is the word. But not necessarily really where it was on the board as much as which one, because they were close enough. There weren't 3 points worth of difference on all of them on these decisions.
He said it wasn't 3 points between all of them on these decisions. But is he talking about Tolbert?
Same thing on the Tolbert situation.
Oh, I guess he was. So think about that. So just like, remember when we got Diggs, right? A lot of us had bottom of the first round grades on Diggs, but we got him in the second. So really what they saying is they had like a second round grade on him because he had him right there in line basically with Sam Williams, is what he's saying.
So the trick is which one would last the longest when you're going down the draft.
Yeah, and it makes sense because obviously Sam Williams, coming from a consistent Division I school, it would have likely been taken over Jalen Tolbert, who was coming from a smaller school, didn't have as much film and as much production as Sam Williams, so they took the calculated risk. But that does not mean that they didn't see him as a second round, first round type of talent. And one of the biggest things is also his performance in the Senior Bowl. When you look at how he just continued to burn up the Senior Bowl, Austin Gale said Jalen Tolbert has easily been the most impressive receiver all week. Another solid rep. And he said easily. Now think about all those receivers that was at the Senior Bowl. A lot of our favorite guys that we had high on our board. But the people that was out there was saying one guy was dominating the group. And it was our guy, Jalen Tolbert. So when I look at his game and when I look at him, one of the things that stands out to me is his feet. He has great feet. He he get good separation with his feet, right? And you see the body control is almost Dez like, to where you see him high point the ball all in one motion, get 2 feet down and get the separation with his feet. You telling me he not gonna be able to do this against number 2s and number 3s all year? Nah, he gonna do this all year. So I really do, out of all our candidates, I'm intrigued the most out about him, Jalen. I'm intrigued about him because I took a gamble myself to even put him in the Boss Cowboy guide, because I generally don't gamble on small school guys. But I took a gamble, and I was happy to see that also the Dallas Cowboys took a gamble as well, and we was basically seeing it the same. And that's a good indication when you got people who don't talk at all, but that see the exact same thing. And I put him in my book early. This is I didn't put him in late. I put him in early. So that's what I see about Jalen Tolbert. And I know he's a good pick and he's going to perform well. You can count it. So y'all make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. And I'm very curious about your thoughts. So leave your thoughts in the comment section. I want to see what y'all think about him, or even this presentation of him in the whole, because some people go show his film. I want to give you the whole picture of how I see him and how potentially the Dallas Cowboys see him. But y'all stay up, Boss Cowboy Sports, where your voice matter. Peace.